right, welcome to Rebel Reason Podcast, episode 3, with yours truly, Sixth Floor Marito, alongside Jungle Royalty and Josh of TOnX. On today's episode, we're going to have a special guest, Ruben Esguerra. You might know him from New Tradition, and he is phenomenal.
Yeah. So Reuben actually also happens to be my mentor. He actually taught me a lot on percussion back in university days, where he taught at one point, and we met through his Afro-Cuban class. That was sick, actually. And from there, we kept the friendship, and now he's schooling me in music, continuously. And yeah, just wanted to give it up. Also, he's a Juno nominee. He's a writer, producer, has some stuff out. So if you, at the end, we'll let you know where to find his stuff. But in the meantime, let's give him a nice little welcome, man. And welcome to our podcast, bro.
Thank you, man.
So yeah, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm really proud of you guys, everything that you guys are doing. And I've been watching you, just through your journey grow while I've been doing my thing, So I'm really happy to be here. And hopefully I can contribute to the talk, for it to be dope. So yeah, congratulations for that. What I do, I guess damn.
You do it all pretty much,
Where do I
right?
start? Well, okay, I was born in Colombia. My parents were arts educators. They still do that. And I grew up watching them in that environment. Came to Toronto as a political refugee, because they were also doing human rights work while they were doing cultural work.
Yeah.
Came here in the late 80s to Toronto. Started being introduced to... I had already been introduced to hip-hop in terms of like breaking in Colombia, because my uncles were dancing it. They were part of a crew, so I was introduced to breakdancing earlier.
Still got those moves?
Of course. Too bad they can't see, bro. Too bad they can't see. But yeah. So I grew up in Toronto in the West End, got introduced to hip-hop. I started doing music. Elementary school, I started learning how to play the violin. I went to an art school playing the violin. It wasn't until I was in grade 11, there was a class where the teacher didn't show up. Mm-hmm. But he was like, just learn whatever instrument on your own. And then there was a pair of congas there. I already knew how to read music, so I took out some books. I learned the basic notations. In that year, I learned a lot.
Nice.
Wow. Just in that class, just from books and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
This was before YouTube. This is when you had to carry your cassette. You know what I mean? To find a video, because everybody just had the 2 channels or whatever. You know what I mean? So to find a video of anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started learning like that. But then my cousin, he was actually already had a very successful band called Pacande. They were nominated for Juno in the 90s, and that was the first band that I started playing with. At the same time, I went to university at York University, and I did my undergrad in music. Then I started teaching the master's program, where I started to teach you. Then after that, I completed the master's. I went to Colombia to do study. I went to San Basilio de Palenque, which is a Maroon community in Colombia. And I did my master's on a specific drum and the origins of that drum. Then
what drum was that?
The tambor alegre.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So then while I was teaching Cuban music, right? Then after that, I started the PhD, and I did all my coursework while I was teaching Cuban music, and I started teaching a Latin American and Caribbean popular music course in the new building, which was a lecture, basically like 60 students, 3 hours a day, 2 days a week in the summer.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. I learned a lot teaching that course. That was crazy, because I had to go through every country in Latin America and the Caribbean and introduce some aspect of their cultural music, their traditional music.
That's crazy. Wow.
So it was pretty intense all in the summer.
Yeah.
So I taught that. I started teaching a couple more courses. all of a sudden, 2008, there was cuts all over the place. I basically, because of lack of seniority, got bumped out.
Yeah.
And then, I had already finished my coursework for the PhD, and I said, okay, let's put a stop to that, because I had my 3 kids already. No, I had 2 kids already. So then I was like, okay, it's time for me to work. So then I started working at the Palisades Media Arts Academy. They basically hired me to be the coordinator. I was teaching drumming to the kids there. Then I took over the Youth in Charge recording studio, where we set up the Palisades Media Arts Academy. That was a whole other story. That's a crazy story.
For our listeners who don't know, who are not from Toronto, where are the Palisades? What is a Palisade?
Right in the corner of Jane and Finch, right?
All right, Jane and Finch, represent.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So I took over the Youth in Charge program there. We created the Palisades Media Arts Academy, which taught every artist how to produce their own beats, write their lyrics, be able to design an album cover, market their album, and do an album release. The students graduated by doing all of that, and at the end it was the album release. It was supposed to go for 3 years. It only went on for 2. Because the workers in the organization we all decided to unionize, and the administration didn't like that, so then they fired a bunch of us. They fired a bunch of us basically. So it went to the Labor Relations, Ontario Labor Relations Board, and we won. You know, the fact that they had done that, but the participants still had 1 more year left, and they didn't allow it to happen. And there's all kinds of videos documenting that whole story, and music that came out of that story, because it was big. There was protests and everything. Yeah. So then after that, I started working at Peach. And this was while I've been playing as a freelance musician with different bands in the city. That's basically how I paid off my university, you know what I mean? Just doing gigs and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So I'm proud to say I don't have any debts, you know what I mean? Student debts,
nice
even though I did since 98 till like 2011.
Yeah.
I had been there, you know?
Yeah.
So then I started working at Peach. Then I ran the Rhyme and Reason program where I met you guys.
Yeah.
That was amazing,
That's great.
man.
Yeah.
That was a good experience.
That was an amazing experience. First time ever using Logic Pro. That was intense. And
Shout outs to Civilian.
Civilian Beats.
Oh yeah, he helped out a lot.
Yeah.
Got reintroduced to Fruity Loops again. I had not touched Fruity Loops since I used to make music with Josh. That was amazing.
That was my first time using it. I thought it was like super easier, much easier than Ableton. Although I love Ableton, so.
Oh yeah.
No, and Rhyme and Reason, we met DTS, you know what I mean?
That's where we met DJ
OG.
Kapamezu.
Kapamezu. Yeah, man, so many people, right? So now, what I'm doing now is I'm running the mobile recording project, which is a mobile. I fit everything in my trunk, basically, right? You've seen it, right?
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of boxes I fit in my trunk.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But now
So
we
you
don't
just-
have to worry about a
get to see
building.
that.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to worry about a building, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Just drive around and
You
bring the
don't-
studio there.
Exactly. So basically, that's what we're doing. We have one location on Mondays. We're at Driftwood Court in Driftwood, and then on Thursdays we're at Grand Ravine, Lane area. You know what I mean? And because the other thing too is that in Jane and Finch, if you know the history, there's always been conflict between the North and the South, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the times it's like it's crazy how it is. People don't cross those lines. They don't cross borders. So it's hard for collaboration to happen between the two sides.
Yeah.
So then that's how we're gonna start. That's the idea. That's the vision. Is to see what happens. Not just to see what happens. The fact that we're working with both sides and we're gonna put them all in the mixtape. That's gonna be like the end product of the program.
Yeah. That's sick. Yeah, I'm down. I'll
When
be
is
there.
that?
That's Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Okay.
That's happening now. And aside from that, I'm still freelancing, just doing gigs with different bands. And I'm working on my 3rd album,
Sick.
That's awesome.
which is it's going to be dope. what else? Recording with other people, producing for Los Poetas, and doing workshops at schools, bro. Like just mad workshops in schools. Trying to fill up the calendar in the day doing that. And on top of that, bro, the hardest thing is I'm a dad, but the most beautiful thing, I'm a dad to 3 amazing girls, so I'm like taking them everywhere.
Got a lot of work.
I gotta take them to oh my god, I just came from their dads, then I gotta go pick them up. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to all those dads that are there no matter what.
Dads running
Oh,
around.
yeah. My dad was very much there.
And that's why I grind. You know what I mean? That's why. It's for them, you know what I mean? For the next generation.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's the one thing that we always got to focus, right? Is the next generation. What example are we giving them, right?
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just talking about your music, dude, Return of the Queasy, that's my track. That's my track. That has been my track since I listened to your album, bro. And that's tell us like about that instrument, the Queasy. I had no idea what that looked like. The best way that I can describe it, I'm gonna butcher it. It just looks like a humongous recorder. It just looks really long recorder. If you guys don't know what that is, how do you spell that?
Queasy is Kuisi.
All right, so you guys can Google that if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, or you can see the album cover of New Traditions album. Which is, what's it called?
So it's called A New Tradition Volume 2, Return of the Queasy.
Return of the Queasy. Yeah. That instrument is so sick, they named it that. Okay? They named the album
Your
that.
first volume is on Spotify already, right? Is it?
Shoot, I think my first album is on Spotify. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
Volume 1?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, it should be there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have that, and I give that streams at work when I can.
What's the album cover look like?
You're holding the Queasy, I think, and it's like a earthy background.
That's Volume 2.
Oh, that's volume 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the latest one.
That's the latest
Okay,
one. Yeah,
okay.
but the first one is dope. But
That one I have on CD.
oh, you have on CD. Yeah.
Beny Esguerra or New Tradition?
Put Beny Esguerra one N and a Y.
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
That's the second one.
Yeah.
Return of the Queasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one
Pretty
is
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that instrument, you're actually right. It works like a recorder. Basically, you blow and then the air hits the tube at an angle, and it's like that's the same technique that a recorder does. You know what I mean? But it's this one is ancient. It's like according to archaeologists, the oldest one that's ever been found is 2,000 years old, and it was actually found in Mexico.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
And then they
could
mimic
mean,
that?
It could mean that it's an instrument that comes from the north and got to the south, or an instrument that got from the south that got to the north, or an instrument that's been already in the north, in the east, in the west.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the thing is that the archaeologists, the oldest one they found is 2,000 years, but that doesn't mean that others haven't been found or just totally disintegrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an ancient instrument. It's made out of charcoal and wax. So if you notice, there's the black part of it.
Yeah.
That's actually charcoal and wax, right? So they take charcoal, they grind it until it becomes powder, they mix it with the wax, and what that does is that when it's hot, you could play with it like Play-Doh, but when it dries, it's as hard as wood.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's actually a technique that's been used to make sculptures out of gold. So what the natives have been doing is creating the sculpture, and then they take because it's hot, right? It's wax still, right? So it's hot, so it's malleable, so they're able to do the sculpture. They wait till it dries, then they paint it with melted gold. Then the gold dries, but they leave a little hole in the bottom. They put the thing out in the sun, and then the wax falls off.
Oh,
So
that's
for a
crazy.
long time, the Spanish had no idea how they were making these sculptures. You know,
Yeah.
They had no idea how they were doing that.
That's so cool.
But that's also used for the instrument, right? To hold the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is a tube that looks like a straw. It's the quill of a duck's feather. So you find a big feather, you cut off the quill, and you clean it, then you put it in at an angle, and it hits the tube, and the tube is a cactus.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So they shave the cactus to the middle, and then the core already has the opening. They put holes in it, equidistant holes, 5 of them.
Wow.
And that's the flute, and it's played with another one that has less holes, and a rattle, and that's the original cumbia. That's like all the cumbia melodies come from that instrument.
That makes sense because it has that vibe, like
that's the original.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Our people came up with some amazing things, eh?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that's crazy.
And then the drums played in cumbia, that comes from the palenques, the maroon communities I told you about, right? That I went to study. The drums come from there, but eventually, because the flutes come like afterwards, they were found in the world's tallest coastal mountain, which is called Sierra Nevada, which is in Colombia, which is the world's tallest coastal mountain, right? It's like right in the Caribbean, but it's so tall that at the top it's snow. And up there's 5 indigenous nations: the Kogi, Ika, Wiwa, Cancuamo, and Arahuaco. The Arahuacos are the Arawaks, which are the native people in the Caribbean, and the Tainos, right?
Yeah.
So then, those are the first ones to ever play. After it was found in Mexico, that's where it kind of like. That's basically like they still do that. They still play it. They're the original ones to play it, right? And then they in the valleys. This is where the maroon communities are. So eventually, throughout years of being in the same region, the drums became a part of the flute ensemble, and that's the cumbia. They're the ones that provide that.
Yeah.
So then you put the flutes on top of that, and the flutes are the ones that set the traditional melodies for the cumbia, and then the accordion came in and copied exactly what the flute was doing, and now the accordion is the instrument that's playing in most cumbias, like popular music cumbias. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Man, that's a lot of information. Amazing.
It's like a short history lesson
amazing,
of that one instrument.
Wow.
I got full of knowledge, man. This guy knows it all, pretty much.
Wow,
PhD.
wow. Okay. Yeah, man, PhD in music, everybody. We have a person who has a PhD in music in the room. Okay, so that's a major goal for 2019.
I finished all my coursework, but I still gotta go back and finish the dissertation.
Don't worry, you're almost there.
Yeah. I'm in the process, you know.
That's sick. All right, so we're here to also talk about a specific topic in regards with such deep music background, hip hop, right? So I got this crazy stupid idea of maybe we should let hip hop, like the actual genre, in my opinion, right? If we just let it let's say die, even though it sounds drastic, maybe I think we'd have a new perspective on looking at the new music that's out, right? Because a lot of old heads, when we hear the current hip hop songs that are out there, they say this is not hip hop, this is not rap, this is not it, right? Other people perceive it differently, right? Like the younger generation, they think different. So I was thinking about that, why does the new generation of music get a lot of hate from the older ones, right? And I think it's because when we categorize it as hip hop, we have a different expectation, right? Because hip hop before had, lyricism, that words that meant something, struggles and stuff like that.
They actually talked about people's lives and their history and had a deeper meaning.
A lot of people like the actual music, the production of it, right? The way rap has changed, to, mumble, right? As opposed to artists that actually flowed and, came with bars, right? If we didn't expect that, I think we'd have a different perspective on the new music, right? So for example, if an old school guy wasn't expecting to listen to hip hop or what they already know of hip hop because it means something else to them, but maybe they have a better open ear to receive that, right? So this way it can progress. And sometimes even with different music genres, we gotta let the genre evolve, right? It starts as one thing and let it evolve to another. So if we let hip hop, evolve to that, that next level, if we could let it go, then maybe we'd have a different type of music we'd enjoy or not enjoy, or that way we can keep all the previous work like as the classics that they are.
But I feel like hip hop is not just about the music. It's about the culture and everything it represents as a whole. So
Yeah.
you can't really say, let's make hip hop die off and then move on into something else, because everything else is the essence of hip hop. That's what it stems from. So I would say it would obviously have to like transform into something that the newer generation can be happy with and okay with, and then the older generation can still relate to.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think you're absolutely right, because there is what we know as something being of today's music based on what mainstream is saying,
Yeah.
or based on what's going on in an underground level, you know what I mean? So, for example, it's like any genre continues to be practiced, and even music that is of an era continues to be practiced and continuously changed, then it's still music that's relevant, you know what I mean? So for example, just because you're not hearing a lot of underground boom bap on the radio doesn't mean that it's not going on. It's still going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's still music of today. People who are playing jazz, if they're playing it today and they're doing new compositions, it's still happening. Blues is still happening. Rock and roll is still happening. Dancehall, reggae, all those things are still happening. Right?
How would you say like rock and roll? How would you say it's still happening?
Because there's people that still perform it. There's people that still play it and compose.
Yeah, Foo Fighters still fill up a stadium.
And
Yeah,
they're still
right.
touring. That's the thing. The older acts are doing crazy.
Yeah.
They're the people that are making the most money in the industry, because
Guns
they're
N'
actually
Roses still
doing
touring.
gigs. They're
Exactly.
and right now the money you're getting is from gigs. You're not getting money from sales. Album sales.
Endorsements and stuff like that.
There's
You're
none
not
of
on
the Thai
TV
stuff,
for the most
exactly.
part.
You're spending money. The people who now are able to make a living performing are people who are doing a lot of live performances.
The ones who
And
aren't,
that's a lot of
like-
the old school acts.
Exactly, the ones who are in direct spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this, right? Is like you want to be able to eat from this as long as you can, right? So you don't want to do anything that's gonna just be like get lost in the week's music, right? And that brings me to my opinion, I think, if it matters. To me, hip hop as we once knew it is over. Like, and we have to
See, I
accept
agree
the
with
reality. We have to accept that, right?
I
It's like-
agree with that, and that's why, like, I'm saying, like, what if we just let it be? Let's just cut it and stop thinking of it as hip hop, right?
Right? Yeah. I mean, hip hop was the
Like the boom
parent
bap.
genre.
Boom
Yeah.
bap. But there's people still doing boom bap, like new people.
But it's not
And-
mainstream
and
anymore,
It's not
for the
mainstream,
most
but
part.
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. There's mainstream is one thing, and what's actually going on outside of it is something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what we once knew, it's run its course, right? For the most part, like the LLs, Jadakiss and Styles P are still doing their thing, but they're not in the front, right, anymore.
Yeah.
And the Fabulous and Jadakiss album was amazing, right? But it wasn't like the biggest thing of the year, right? But it was still an amazing album of the year, right? And they still stayed true to that style of hip hop, right? So I don't know. I think it's also changed in the Latin urban culture as well, right? For us, right, growing up that way and growing up Latino, right, in this city, we were exposed to dancehall, we were exposed to reggaeton, we were exposed to the Panama style of Spanish reggae, right? So
Yeah.
it has changed a lot from that, right? El Chombo style of Spanish reggae to what it is now, the Puerto Rican reggaeton, and even that
Are those
evolved.
guys still performing?
El Chombo?
Yeah.
No, I follow him on Instagram, and it doesn't look like he's doing like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like but then again, I don't know too much. I just see what he shows right on Instagram, and he's for the most part in like a studio room. I think he's on the radio. I don't know, maybe.
People like Biko C are still performing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And how are they performing? What are they doing? What's their performances like? They're playing only their old tunes, or are
For the
they
most part, yeah. I don't really think he
They're
has
not playing
much
anything
new
new?
music.
I don't know. I've never been to a Vico like a Vico C.
Has he
like,
been to
concert.
Canada? I don't think so.
I don't even know.
That would be amazing, though.
That'd be crazy.
But would people care anymore?
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
it's only
the
the old heads, and I mean, even like that, I mean, we didn't see an appreciation for Blast when he came to Toronto.
Oh yeah.
DJ Blast.
Yeah. Do you remember when DJ Blast came?
No.
Man, it was like maybe 5 years ago.
More,
Right? So DJ Blast came in, and we were at it was Plaza, right?
Ricky Ricardo.
Well, Ricky Ricardo. Yeah, it got
Post
changed to-
Plaza.
Yeah, Post Plaza.
That's what it's
Ricky.
called now?
Yeah. Well, that back then, now I don't
then
even know what it is.
Yeah, it's like shut down. Yeah, man. So DJ Blast came, and man, so me, Mario, and Gio, my boy Gio. So we bought tickets, so we were like amped, excited, and we were like worried. We were like, yo, it's probably gonna get rammed. It's probably gonna be filled up. We gotta get there
Yeah.
early. So not even lying, bro. Me and Mario were like the only ones at the front. Like the only ones.
Fangirling, man.
Like, we were pretty much fangirling, man. Yeah, like it wasn't even full. Like there was like some people like at the bar. No one was dancing.
There was a booth, like a couple of the booths
Yeah.
on the back they were popping, but they didn't care.
Yeah,
That
like no one
was
was like, showing love like on the floor or like
There was no
doing-
scene, right?
Yeah,
No
there
real
was
scene.
nothing. And me and this guy were like, yo, this is DJ Blast, man, like the legend, right? It was just like sad.
Is he still killing it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, he's producing still. He's
Yeah.
producing.
Then it's
crazy
alive.
tracks.
It's true.
Then what
yeah.
he's doing is alive. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Canada still needs to catch up. You know, that's our responsibility at the end of the
true,
day because
yeah.
nobody's.
That's what I'm saying. If you got the original practitioners of a certain style and they're still killing it and they're innovating and they're contributing to the knowledge and culture and way of performing that music, then that music is alive.
Yeah, DJ Playero still DJs. I saw a Boiler Room set with him, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be it's alive and probably it's never gonna die. There's always gonna be a scene of people that are specialists in that
Yeah.
and that
To
instrument
keep
or-
moving it forward.
Yeah, whether it's the instrument or the style or the genre, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think there's a lot of like hip hop has to evolve, and we have to try to claim also the stuff that's not boom bap as part of the culture, because then it's going to be something that's just going to go off on its own without any sense of history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not going to have a sense of responsibility too.
Speaking of his, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, yeah. So we shouldn't try to. In my opinion, I'm like, if trap music is going the way that it is, I would still claim it as a part of hip hop.
Yeah.
In order for it to have that sense of responsibility, and you also have to acknowledge the things that are hip hop about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So like from
But there's a lot of young kids. Sorry. There's
Yeah.
a lot of young kids that are even saying, no, we're not hip hop, and they're doing trap, and they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is hip hop? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Not
what
that, you know what I mean?
That's what kind of like brings up the question: what is hip hop made of, right? And we were actually, for everyone tuning in, like we were actually watching this video on, forget his name. Remember his name? Ian something. He goes by
Walker?
Sen.
Ian.
Oh,
I
anyways,
wrote his name down, bro, when we were watching. That's why you grabbed your phone at that moment.
We watched the whole thing. There it is. He even got
Oh man.
yeah. But anyways, the point was that this guy was saying how hip hop is made out of elements. What those elements are is like different things like
DJing, MCing, rapping,
MCing,
b-boying,
rapping. Yeah.
and graffiti.
Yeah. Yeah. He took notes on that.
Yeah.
Except the guy's name.
Anyway, so like, what do you think? What do you think of that video? Like, and those elements?
Well, he was saying that all of them combined is what created the whole hip hop culture.
Yeah.
And without them all together, hip hop wouldn't be the same. Like the fact that you don't normally see a DJ with an MC anymore, everyone thinks that's normal, but that's not how it used to be. It used to be the DJ and the MC on the stage together, and it's the DJ who used to introduce the new music to the audience. But now, like, everyone can just go to Spotify or Apple Music and find their music on their own. So the culture, in its sense, from back then has changed, but in some ways it's still the same because hip hop's about giving out knowledge and for each generation to understand that knowledge.
Yeah.
And obviously the lyrics of today aren't the same as before, but there are conscious artists out there who can make a great trap song.
True.
And still get through to the younger generation.
J. Cole kind of proved that.
Yeah.
Recently, we started dabbling with some trap beats,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and he proved that he can do it on any genre.
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
true.
That's what he does.
I don't think we should stay stuck on a genre having to be
Like a certain style.
a certain style of
Yeah.
production. You know what I mean? Or
Salud.
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 We're all just cheersing here on a tequila on this lovely Saturday.
It's lovely Snowmageddon Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Winter Wonderland.
Snow apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what though? Even like going back to like I guess asking our audience as well, right? Join in with us. Do you think hip hop is dead as we know it? We already went over this, that we think it's run its course for the most part what we were used to. It's changed into something else. To the point where recently Bone ThugsNHarmony were at war with the Migos, right? Because the Migos kept claiming that they were the best, right? The best rap group ever, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they really have
They actually
Their
say
style.
the best group ever, like out of all
Yeah.
genres.
And that got wild. Like Busy Bone, I don't know what happened
What?
with Busy Bone's situation, but like he went to he was flashing a shotgun on Instagram Live.
Damn.
He was threatening, I think it was 21 Savage. Right? Like this Lazy Bone and Busy Bone recently, like they were really like offended at the state of hip hop where they're not showing their appreciation to them. Meanwhile, today's style of hip hop is really their style.
Yeah.
What they were doing. The only difference is they're not really doing the harmonizing thing, right? You know, in the background, right? Like that made Bone Thugs who they were. Right? So I mean, there's a lot of hip hop artists that we grew up
Soulja
listening
Boy
to.
just said that
Exactly.
yeah, taught Drake everything he knows.
Yeah.
He's
Right?
like, yeah,
Yeah.
the greatest comeback, and I'm just like, when did he come back?
You know, but I think it's like
I know,
I would
right?
feel a way too, you know, if like people weren't respecting the fact of what they have done, right? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think we should be giving them more public credit to these artists that did contribute, that did create a lot of these styles that we're seeing today, or just whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think in every genre, like a lot of people, a lot of artists always pay homage in some sort of way. So I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's a way to sort of like recognize it and keep it alive, type of thing, right?
Who
Yeah.
would you say are your favorite hip hop artists?
Man,
Let's say three. Choose three. Like who you think are like top lyricists that brought it. You know what I mean? That you grew up to.
ooh, I'd say KRS-One, Immortal Technique,
Hey.
and damn, there's so many.
So many, right?
I know.
Especially now, because I'm even thinking Latin America. you
Do it, yeah. I was actually gonna suggest
Yeah.
that.
know? Yeah,
Who do you think? If you're gonna choose one Latin American rapper,
man, from Latin America, people who I performed with at the the hip hop.
Oh, man.
It was the 10th annual hip hop festival in Havana. This was in like 2004. There was some crazy acts there. There was like Actitud Maria Marta from Argentina or Chile. Las Crudas from Havana. They're crazy. A lot of female groups. Man.
yeah,
A
Yeah,
lot of female groups. Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
yeah. Well, what about yourself, Josh?
For me, hip hop artists, I'm going to pick probably J. Cole and Kendrick. For me, that's what I've been like. What I like to refer to like nowadays. Like if I'm just trying to get in the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. J. Cole's dope too.
J. Cole is super dope. I like his style because he always plays it like even on his last album, some jazzy like feels type of thing, but still brings like the bars but not just any bars, like talks about something like a story, right? Even like sincere feelings, love, hate, type of thing. So that's what's cool about him for me.
Jungle Royalty, what about yourself?
Hip hop. Mine are old heads, but I love Method Man from Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Just his flow, his style, his lyrical content just always speaks to me. And Papoose, I've always loved Papoose.
Oh man, alphabetical slaughter.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know anyone else who can do that. I'm sure there are other artists who can do that, but just Papoose, like, I feel like I honestly love his music.
Yeah.
More recently, Meek Mill. I never always used to like Meek Mill, but like after his whole situation with going back to jail and stuff, and then him learning from that whole experience and then trying to change other people's lives and help other people from that experience he had, that's what I like about Meek Mill right now, and his music expresses that.
His latest album is pretty good too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was good, man. It was actually a good album. But for you, I could actually ask you this. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys could. But I don't know if you guys listen to like reggae and stuff, like hardcore. But like, what about your favorite top reggae artists? That have that conscious vibe.
Oh, stop that. Okay, number one, because he just got released.
Yo, we got freed. Here's
Hey,
the hashtag.
Buju Banton.
No more
Oh
free
my
Buju. Now
gosh.
it's Buju free.
Yes. His Walk to Freedom tour starts in March, and I believe he starts in Jamaica. Because the first thing I heard was that he was going to do his first concert in the Bahamas or something. And I'm just like, that does not make sense. Why would he start there? But it's been confirmed. It's in Jamaica in March, close to my birthday. So I'm super happy about that.
You're going?
No, I'm not going. I would love to. And the joke is I'm going to Jamaica in May.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, who else though?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a legend.
The next one, I guess. Oh, no, not I guess. Garnet Silk. He's a very old,
Yeah, rest in peace. Legend.
yes, very old legend. He died in a fire trying to save his mom when he ran back into the house. So God bless his soul. But honestly, the reason I love him so much is because, one, he can sing. Two, he's always singing about giving thanks to Jah.
Yeah, man,
And
the guy always gave the thanks to God.
you can
Love his
always
music,
find
yeah.
peace in his music. Like, honestly, there's no bad vibes. If you're ever feeling down or away, if you want to feel lifted up, listen to Garnet Silk. I kid you not. Another reggae artist is Damian Marley.
Hey.
Yes, Damian Marley, because all his brothers and stuff can sing, but he decided to be like the reggae DJ of the family and just go into the dancehall scene, and I really appreciated that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I mean, let me go through this quick because, but for me, it would have to be, and I got to add another one to this one, but Big Pun, of course. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's somebody that's been of a huge influence in my life since like grade 7 or 8. That's when I listened to Big Pun for the first time, and I could not believe that. And the fact that he was Latino, it spoke to me. I'm like, wow, like everybody that I knew at that point that was rapping they were all black dudes, right, from New York. Because I only liked growing up. I was always down with the East, man, the East Side, like Queens, for the most part, Queens style hip hop. That's what I like, right? And so Big Pun was a huge one, even though he is a Bronx man. Yeah, just his wordplay was interesting. I liked his stuff, and he was pretty vulgar, with some of the things he would say, but it was pretty cool. Like, he was a troll, right? He was a troll sometimes in his lyrics, right? When I was angry, I would like to listen to some Mobb Deep, you know what I mean? But they had some very conscious stuff as well, right? Like, their wordplay was amazing because they were talking about, their grimy upbringing, right, in Queens, right? Immortal Technique for me, man, that guy's music always gave me chills. And I would say when I was starting to become, I guess you would say, quote unquote, woke, his music really spoke to me. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Right? Like, I didn't understand certain terms that he was using, right? Right, growing up. And then I started looking up certain things, and wow, I actually realized now that was one of the things that sparked my interest in researching things, right? It was Immortal Technique. And last but not least, we were just talking about this, before we started the podcast, was Vico C.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Vico C is dope.
Watching his documentary,
Yeah, man.
dude, I did not know. For those of you who don't know who Vico C is, here's a little bit of history. He was the first Latin rapper. He was the first person to do that in Spanish.
Yeah.
Right? So that's he's somebody worth checking out. He's a legend. Almost every reggaeton artist that you hear now, they will tell you that their main influence was Vico C.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a pioneer.
Right, and I mean that's where I'm at, you know, with music and with reggaeton. I mean, reggaeton's the reason why I decided to start producing music in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Because of Looney Tunes. But in regards to lyricism and reggaeton, Daddy Yankee, of course.
Yeah, man.
He's the first person that made me
my
think,
number one.
man, like who
Yeah.
can do that in
Yeah.
Spanish, right? So he had a very unique style. De La Ghetto is my, like, right now currently has been number one in the last few years.
Yeah.
When it comes to his style and just everything about De La Ghetto, he doesn't bring the negative vibes, right? Like with his music. And currently I have to jump on the bandwagon because you know what? I did not like Bad Bunny at first. I did not like the guy at first because you know what? I'm a hater of what's cool, what's in, you know, at first. And I really got to make sure that I know what I like before I just like, yeah, Bad Bunny. Nah, man, you know, like I started really listening to his music and I'm like, yeah, whatever. For certain vibes, I would play Bad Bunny. But listening to his album, it's just, I love Bad Bunny. I love Bad
That was
Bunny's
sick.
music.
He adds like a little bit of rock, a little bit of trap, a little bit of reggaeton. You know, he did a lot of reference to the old guys, like a lot of lines, you know, that he did. But he had like a sample of Plan B. Album was dope.
Yeah.
Album like of the year already. 2019, yeah.
So you were
It's sick.
breakdancing before, right?
Yeah, man. That's how I
Yeah?
started. That's how I started.
Man, can you still though, or like, do you think you're?
I can still throw down,
Yeah,
bro.
because I know your brother throws down, man. So
I can't throw down like him. That's different.
Yo, man. Shout out to Mr. DJ Cy Swift.
Yeah, C Swift.
C Swift.
Yeah.
That's how you say it? You know, I always wondered, like, how do you actually say it?
Seize the day type of thing.
Yeah, man, he's amazing. You know what? He does a lot of good things, man. Like, I see what he's doing, like, with like, supporting the indigenous tribes and stuff, you know, like, movements, right? I wanted to ask you, like, do you know what's going on with that whole thing with that tribe right now with the pipeline? Or whatever it is, like, that's currently happening right now here in Canada?
The West Sweat Nation, they're basically, they have unceded territory that is theirs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the West Coast, and then so they're basically like confronting the companies that are backed by the government. So it could even be an armed struggle, you know. It could become that bad, you know.
Yeah, I was looking into that, man, and it's crazy because there was a protest that happened at at Nathan Phillips, right? That just happened like last weekend or the weekend before, right? And I don't know why we didn't go, but I really wish we had gone to that. You know, just to like start showing some support with things that really matter. Because at the end of the day, we have indigenous roots.
This is
Yeah.
Right, we're
love
all
us.
indigenous, man. We have this, right?
course.
And I personally I feel for them. Like it's like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's in like, you know, the vibrations, but like I feel that, you know,
It's
like
your
what,
ancestors.
you think so? Like that's what it is, right?
Of course.
Yeah, man. Like I can feel what they're going through to the point where I was reading an article where they even made sure that the children were like removed from the area, right, just in case it got nasty.
Yeah.
Right. With history, we already know it can and will if.
If yeah.
You know, so we really need to pay attention to what's going on with that because these kids, they're kids. Imagine it's like, yeah, we gotta go, you know, because something could happen. It's like, but we're in Canada. That doesn't happen here. Yes, it does. You know, these things are really happening to them. You know, like the same stuff you see happening to our people right at the border in the U.S. Right, like this is happening to the indigenous of this land right now.
Yeah.
Right, and I saw a video where there was somebody that was a representative, I think, of that company, and he was like at the bridge barricade. Right, this is like a few weeks ago. I saw somebody sharing it on their Instagram story. That's how I found out about it. And there was somebody from the company that was like asking them politely, but you can tell like this evil look in their face, like, yeah, you know, like we just want to do our job. Can we come through? And they're like, no, this is our land, right? But
Yeah.
I just don't know how they can still get away with that if that's their land. I don't know how that works, man, but it's weird. It's weird. And I just felt like we really needed to at least mention that is happening. What's the name of the tribe?
The West Sweat. West Sweat is one of them. The other one I can't remember right now.
Yeah. But it's worth looking into. It's a serious thing. It's a serious thing that can change, the lives of a whole community of people in a very negative way, and pollute their waters and pollute their just everything around them, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's a dangerous thing. So I'm really glad that we just took a few minutes to show them our support.
Sure, acknowledge.
Show them our support.
No, and these type of talks are important. Like, it's important to recognize our ancestry when even talking about music. You know what I mean? And the whole idea of knowledge of self, which is something that has impacted me a lot from hip hop. That philosophy of knowledge of self has been like at the forefront of everything that I do, because everything is just about learning about myself through music, through the instruments, finding myself through the instruments, and how that connects with my ancestry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Identity, I guess.
Identity. How did you know that you wanted to do music?
Dancing was my first thing. So I would just dance to music, and I would be like, I like this. You know what I mean? This is dope, and I understood it. And then when I started, when I went to school, and I started going to my cousin's rehearsals, and he'd be like in a room, people like OGs from the Toronto Latin music scene.
Yeah.
Like there was Diego Marulanda, the Saldivia family. They were Chileans who had a group called Grupo Taller. And I used to go to their rehearsals and just start playing along with them. You know what I mean?
Sick.
Just grab an instrument, start playing along with them. Boom.
So it's an old Toronto group.
Yeah, from 80s.
Damn.
Yeah.
Can we find their stuff anywhere?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah. Because, man, just having the fact that we have to dig deep into just to find good music these days, it's crazy, right? Like, how do you guys feel about this, okay? This is something that I was thinking about, when we were thinking of what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it is so hard to find good music, right? That's not just presented to you, by people that make these playlists on these streaming services now, right? Before, it used to be the DJ's responsibility to introduce the public to good music, right? There was people in the community that were just like, yo, man, play my track at the next party. He's like, yeah. That used to be the way people found out about good music, right? No matter if it was in disco, if it was house music, if it was hip-hop, right? The DJ was the one that introduced the public to good music, right? So in regards to one of the elements of the hip-hop, what makes hip-hop, do you guys feel like DJs don't really have that much of an importance now, or do you think they've been kind of pushed aside, and now we leave the responsibility up to playlist curators to introduce us to music? Or do you think we should go back to that tradition, of having the DJs introduce us to good music?
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing with paying off people to play music, that's basically what dominates everything now. So I think in terms of DJ, in terms of turntablism, man, the way I think hip hop is going is it's already worldwide. So it's gonna be now every different place is gonna come up with their own genre that identifies it as being from that specific country. So it's gonna be I guess what you would say world music is gonna be more of a part of it. You know what I mean? But also the people who are conscious of the original, the history, who are hip hop, not who just are trying to do it. People who actually are a part of that culture, because if you claim that you're a part of that culture, that means you gotta know and represent all of the things that has been a part of it, including the elements. So people are gonna always include the turntables, because that's how hip hop started in terms of music. Those are the original producers. You know what I mean? So the people who are going to continue what I think it would be real hip hop is people that continue those elements. So even the MCing is still incorporated in the music, some sort of art form that is also draws from the graffiti vocabulary, the dancing, the breaking is still preserved, you know what I mean? But not preserved in the sense where let's do this exactly how it was and dress exactly how it was. Not that sense, in the sense that let's preserve it, but also keep creating and get so that it's being passed on to the next generation. You know what I mean? So that there's a scene that's strong and vibrant and it's doing well. You know what I mean?
So would you say like a song like the Drake song, "In My Feelings," right? That kind of has like all the elements. You got like a dance, right? You got like the beat,
Yeah.
right? You got like the MCing,
Yeah.
right? So with all that would mean like that's a way of songs like that keep it alive.
Yeah.
Would you
for
say
real.
like
Well, it's
would that be
keeping
a,
the musical elements alive except for the turntablism.
Right.
But the turntablism can be considered also a part of the production because the DJs were the first producer. So in that sense, the producer would be the DJ. You know what I mean? The DJ element.
yeah.
In regards to like passing it on to the next generation, right? Like, you put out your music, right? You made it to the Junos, man.
Juno.
That's amazing,
crazy,
right?
man.
So
Yeah.
for somebody for us, right, that we are making music, right? Everybody in the room, right? In one way or another, you're the only person in the room right now that's made it that far, right? To get to, so how would you, let's say there's people listening right now that want to make music or are making music and have no idea how to put it out there,
Yeah.
right? How, like, basic quick steps, like how do you get from your computer to streaming services and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I mean, first you gotta start. Having good amount of repertoire that you can do a performance. Start performing at open mics. Any opportunity that you get, develop that because that's the only really one of the only ways to just get good and practice in front of an audience and become a natural performer. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also, even that's how you're making money these days is through live gigs. You know what I mean?
True.
So start performing as much as you can. There's funding that you can get in order to produce like a demo. Then with the demo, you could apply to do a full album. You do a CD release for your album when you have it done. You put it on digitally wherever. I'm not gonna do like shoutouts to anybody. But you just put it wherever, you know what I mean? And get people to hear it. Apply to festivals, perform in festivals, you know what I mean? Get your start building a network of contacts and apply for awards, you know, all that stuff.
Apply for awards. So you do that yourself, like you apply for the awards.
The majority, even the Grammys, a lot of people, had no idea that
That's how it works?
Yeah.
You apply for it? It's not like they're
you
like,
gotta
hey,
you gotta submit
you do
work.
some good shit. Let's see if you...
I did not know that.
Really?
Yeah, in the I actually looked it up the other day. For Grammys and Latin Grammys too, like you have to submit work. Yeah, so in order
to apply.
and then there's like a team. It gets adjudicated and they all judge, and that's the screening. So you feel like your stuff is good and deserves some recognition, then you have to apply.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have to pay to apply?
Most
Yeah,
likely, right?
Yeah?
right.
Okay.
Is it expensive to like apply for that?
The Junos, it was like $40.
No way.
What?
Really?
So basically, pretty much if we go, we do a little quick thing, put it on the streaming platform, and then we can submit that, and then we say, hey,
Yeah, I got 3 plays, man. I'm shit though. I gotta
Give
submit
me a
this.
chance.
so anyone can really apply for like a
Technically,
Juno.
anyone can apply, yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you're gonna get accepted, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, you have to have an album.
Yeah.
At least to get there,
Okay.
there's a whole process to get there too, right?
An album or an EP? Is an EP okay to apply?
I would say an album.
Yeah.
And it all has to be original music, no sample free unless you've cleared it.
Okay.
Okay, that
makes sense.
Very good, very
Yeah.
good. Wow. Now we know how to apply for these things. Watch out, Premio Lo Nuestro, watch out Latin Grammys, watch out everything.
It's gonna get flooded.
Watch out everybody right now. That's dope, man. Thank you for that, man. That's some good information for, producers, singers, rappers that are listening, right? That, and even your bands, right? Everybody who's in bands right now, no matter what it is that you're doing, don't think that there isn't an audience for that. right? There's an audience for everything and everyone, right? Just always remember that. What else? So yeah, we spoke about the DJs, you know. So, anything you guys else have to say right now?
Like in the hip hop topic, I think we covered it all. I think like what's important to remember is like the elements. As long as we keep those alive and the integrity of it, like it can live on.
Man. I think so. In some shape or form, continue that, and then the knowledge of self. You know. That was key.
Right. So for us, right, Josh and I especially, where we grew up loving reggaeton, right?
Yeah.
So reggaeton, as we've known it, I mean, it came from reggae music, right?
You're welcome.
Them both.
Honestly, Joe Royalty has never, like, every time something happens with reggaeton, every time somebody mentions anything with reggaeton, so it's like, you're welcome. For everything with reggaeton, it's like...
It should be like that for hip hop too.
Right?
That's true though.
Right, because yeah, I mean everything does come for the most part from African roots, right? So it's pretty cool to see that, and with reggaeton, it's also evolved as well, right? It's not the reggaeton as we knew it anymore.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like, honestly, I do not like old school reggaeton, except for a couple of songs. But, like, more recently, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I can jam to that.
But mainly for her, it's more like the sound, right? The production, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true, too.
It didn't really have that big sub, right, in the background.
Yeah, producers are killing it these days.
Yeah.
Right, and
So many techniques.
Oh my gosh, I feel like music nowadays is more about producing than the actual artist.
yeah,
Like, so
how
many...
it sounds, the quality.
Yeah,
of the
like so
music,
many
right?
producers are getting more recognition than they used to, and I'm so appreciative of that. But I need the artist to step up their game.
Yeah, but reggaeton has, you know, it's branched off as well, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the genre called Moombaton.
Right. Yeah.
Moombaton, right? So,
Like a dubstep meets reggaeton, pretty much.
yep. And, well, the actual definition of what Moombaton is, it's a fusion genre of house music and reggaeton that was created by American DJ and producer Dave Nada in Washington, D.C., right, back in 2009, right? So he's the person that started it out. There was a time where I thought that I was coming up with a new sound, right? But it was already a thing. But I didn't know what it was, right? Like, real talk. I'm like, yo, man, I'm fusing reggaeton with all these like electronic sounds. I'm like, yeah. And then I met a DJ, and then he's like, yeah, man, yo, I can show you some music like that. I'm like, oh shit, right? And then that's how I was like introduced. I already knew what Moombaton sounded like, but I didn't know that it was a thing, right? Like a genre.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool when I would hear old school reggaeton tracks being remixed into Moombaton tracks, and even Blast dabbled with it a little bit. The reason why I like Major Lazer is because they do a lot of that stuff. Right? They do a lot of that, right? So
And they mix it so well.
Yeah.
right. So Moombaton is something that a lot of it I personally think it's really annoying, right? Because it has like those EDM elements, like the big room house. Right, not so much like that definition is pretty bad, right? Because it just says house music as a whole, but specifically it's the EDM big room house style mixed with reggaeton, right? And I don't really like a lot of it, but there are a few songs that are gems, like gems.
Like you don't like it, but why? Because it's not like.
It just sounds like very like, you know, those high. I guess because we're getting older, right? Like the hairs in our ears, right? That whole thing with frequencies, right? Like it changes, right? Like as we get older, right? It's mainly for the younger kids. You see them going crazy for those same frequencies we used to like, but now we're just like, man, how did I like that? Right? Like I'm pretty sure we all have at least that one song, right, that we loved back then, especially going to EDM festivals, right? We all had that at that time. So Moombaton is something that I can say has been a positive branching off of reggaeton, right? But reggaeton comes from mixing reggae with rapping, right? And hip hop, you know what I mean? Like it's all connected, right? So without hip hop, without the African roots, without all of that, we wouldn't even have something like Moombaton. We wouldn't have house music without the African roots.
And that's the knowledge of self part, you know what I mean? It's recognizing that because that's a part of who you are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're a part of a culture that comes from many cultures, you're a part of all those many cultures too, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a spiritual experience through music. The sharing of cultures.
Knowledge of self.
That's true.
Well, I don't know. We've made it to, you know, most of our notes.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about what we were talking about before we started recording, like the whole, like you were saying. the spiritual
Oh, dude,
aspect,
yeah.
right?
I don't know. Yo, did you cut that out of my notes?
No, you gotta scroll down.
Yo, no me pegues. Yeah, we were talking about Santeria, bro. Like, I know, like, for me, like,
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo like that, and I like to talk about a lot of, like, cool spiritual things, right? And I was asking you, and I felt like you were the right person that I know right now in my life that has a lot of connection with your roots, you know what I mean? Like, I know you really pride yourself in that, right? That, like, I can tell just by the style of music that you make and just the way you present yourself, right? You're very in touch with your ancestors, I guess you can say. So I wanted to ask you about the drumming in Santeria. Like, I've watched a few documentaries about it, right? Because there's a rapper that I saw one day on the Breakfast Club, right, called Gunplay, and he was talking about, like, he was going through his ritual. I think it was like a 1-year ritual or something, which is a part of, like, where he's at right now in the religion.
Yeah.
Right, so it's just like, wow, man, like, some people are really, really into it.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
so
huge.
the main thing I wanted to ask you was, like, the spiritual aspect of drumming, right, from the Santeria faith, right, and, like, has any of that leaked over into what we have in mainstream music now, right, which is why we appreciate a lot of things now. Do you think a lot of that is incorporated now? Because I can't really tell, right, so that you can point
Well,
out.
in terms of like Latin hip hop, it's always been there. For example, you guys remember Orishas?
Oh yeah, Mauricio Solo
Yeah.
Cubano,
Yeah.
bro, they were amazing, man. They still are.
They have the bata, which are the drums that are played in Santeria or Ifa. They have them all over their album, and a lot of the performers back then used the bata as part of the. And they still do. Like, they're still playing. They're still performing all over the place. Still making music. They're still writing. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. And including me, I've been incorporating it since the first album. The first album, you gotta check a track called Se Han Tomado El Mundo. Oh, that's a crazy track. One of my proudest tracks, bro.
Nice.
And it's all about all the different, like, it's a story about all the different traditions and different drums, and I named them. It's a long track. It's a long track. Yeah.
And for our English speaking listeners, what does Se Han Tomado El Mundo mean?
So taking over the world. They've took over the world, and it's about how the drums have taken over the world, basically.
Yeah, that's true, because that's what really drives
A good
a lot
song.
of, like, a lot of music now, right? The heavy basses, right?
Yeah.
The pounding, right? So
That's awesome, man. And in regards to that, like, can you give us like a little bit of a background, like what is Santeria, right, and why the drums are so important in what they do?
Yeah, Santeria is derived from the Ifa religious or spiritual system from Yoruba in Nigeria. So, but it's also a mixture of Catholicisms. That's why it's called Santeria, right? Because basically people would pretend that they were
Catholics, right?
praying to like a Catholic saint,
Yeah.
but really they were praying to one of the Orishas in order for them not to still continue. It was a form of survival, right?
Yeah.
For it to survive. So that's what Santeria and Santeria evolved that way in Cuba. In Trinidad and Tobago is Chango. In Brazil is the Candomblé. The Yoruba mainly arrived to Brazil, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, and a lot of other places. Slavery had been abolished by that time, and a lot of the people were from the Congo, like in the case of Colombia, right? So basically, the drums that are played, there's three of them. They're called the bata drums. The big one, the master drummer usually plays, is called iya. That's the mother drum, and you're playing a lot of the calls. It's a lot of call and response repertoire, right? Then you have the totele, which is like the male, and then you have the okonkolo, which is the child.
Yeah.
And it's all interlocking, like
Oh,
crazy,
no way.
syncopated patterns that correspond to each orisha. There's rhythms for each orisha, and there's even whole cycles of songs that are just for the orishas. The orishas are the deities, right? The gods, because it's a multi-god spiritual system, right? So instead of just having one, and then in Santeria they started also adapting the Catholic side. So then, there is a god or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it becomes a mixture, right?
Yeah.
So then the drums. Each person that enters it becomes a member of the religion, basically is assigned with an oracle by a babalao, which is a high priest, who they're sons or daughters of. Are you a daughter of Chango? Are you a son or daughter of Obatala, of Yemaya? You know what I mean? You have, and then based on who you have, there's a path for you that you guide, that you, like your path is guided already.
So through each instrument. So like
Through each orisha.
Okay.
But to each orisha, there's all kinds of repertoire just for that orisha, right? So like in a religious ceremony, the drums are at the center of the whole ceremony, and they'll do rhythms. They'll do like an oru seco at the beginning, just
So depending on which orisha it is would depend on which rhythm. is played.
Exactly.
So that's why the drums is such a significant part of.
of that. Yeah, it's at
Yeah.
the core. It's at the core, and to the point where like people go into trance, they reach other, they elevate to different states. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like we have the kumina drums in
Yeah, the
Jamaica.
kumina drums,
yeah.
And
It's
then
like a little,
maybe-
it's a dance ritual. And it's like you should be able to either be possessed by spirits or like your ancestral spirits too. And it's like a way for you to communicate with them. To
But
be at
like
that
it would
higher
be
level.
the actual, you're saying like the drums and the music would put people like in like a trance.
Definitely,
Right?
definitely. That's what it is.
Is it
Those-
is it because of the actual music? Is there something about it?
It's because of it has to do a lot with the music.
Yeah.
It's about the state everybody's in, you know what I mean? In that close area where like all of a sudden like the supernatural happens, you know.
And it's like, because you can feel it in your body when they're like playing those drums. It's not just
Yeah.
something that's
Like
just.
the vibrations.
Yeah.
Because in that video that we were talking about, like the guy was giving an example how when you live with like in a building, if your neighbor above you is playing music, you'll always hear it,
Exactly.
right? But it's because of the vibrations,
Exactly.
right? And he was saying because you can literally feel the music. That's why a lot of people say that I feel that music because those vibrations like relate to you.
Oh, Mario, weren't you saying that you were introduced to reggae through like your neighbors always blasting their music?
Man, when I was a kid, I remember being asleep and my mom would go nuts because she would hear like the dance hall. It was like mid-90s.
Yeah.
Right. She would hear dance hall happening from our next door neighbor's house. Right. It was like late at night, and we hear just the boom, 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 like all night. Like she would go crazy listening to banging on the wall, and I'm just there like sleeping, vibing. Like I had no idea what was going on, but I was feeling it. Like I liked that as a kid.
Tries help you sleep.
Right?
Yes, Braga Banks helped me, man. Right, so it was always something that like,
Now you can't even go to sleep without blasting some reggae, huh?
yeah, dude. There was a time like in my teens where I could not go to sleep without listening to music. Like I just
too.
could
Yeah,
not.
for real.
I had music playing all night.
And
Like
then
I
you
could
wake
not-
up when they turn it off.
Yeah, I had to-
Mom comes into your room.
My CD
Yeah, my mom's
Yeah.
like, why do you sleep with the radio on? I'm like, why not? I love falling asleep to music.
My CD player was broken, so I had to flip the cassette over. When the cassette was done, I'd wake up and I'd flip it over.
Man.
Those are good times, man. But yeah, like, do you hear any of those drums in popular music today?
Like in
specific
mainstream
patterns?
stuff?
Yeah.
There's a lot of patterns that are very similar to a lot of the traditional patterns for sure.
Yeah, which makes sense why it's able to capture the audience, right?
What
And-
genre would you say does that a lot?
I hear it everywhere. I hear it a lot in trap with the like hi hats in 6/8
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
and the flows in 6/8. The triplet. A lot of the African, like Afro-Cuban, Afro-Colombian stuff is all 6/8.
Oh.
So it's being able to do, but still have whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So is this just like translating into another type of like sound, like vibration almost?
Well, yeah, it's rhythms and I guess little patterns and syncopations that have always used and produced that sense of like people wanting to dance to it, people bopping their head to it. You know what I mean?
And I find like in a lot of music nowadays, everyone's like, I don't want to say they're using like Jamaican patterns or Jamaican drum rhythms, but like they're using more Caribbean style drum patterns for real.
Yeah.
And it's like taking over. I'm hearing it all the time on the radio. I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah, and a lot of mainstream soca, you still hear so much like African, just drum sounds in it. You know?
And like the Afrobeats genre is like making a major, I want to say comeback, because they were there before, but like no one used to pay attention to them. But now it's just like,
that is a comeback.
yeah, it's just like,
that's trippy.
now it's just like you hear it more often and everyone's like getting into it. Like there's a song, it's called what, Joanna?
Oh,
Or is it
Droba?
Yeah,
Oh,
Droba,
man.
yeah.
Droba.
And it's so simple, but it's like it's so catchy. You just automatically dance to it when you start hearing it.
Yeah, Afrobeat just became so relevant to us, right? And everything. Even in reggaeton now, right? Like a lot of it sounds like Afrobeat.
And you know what they're playing, right? The main beat is la clave, is the clave.
Yeah.
They're doing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? One of the old. My bad to the neighbors.
Nah, that's okay, man. Like, I'm surprised they've never complained.
I definitely felt that.
So because this is a very unique podcast, this is our conversation. We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
For us, you know, like, I don't know what your upbringing was religiously, but I mean, I think after what we were just talking about in regards to the drumming and Santeria, I think a lot of our religious parents would really be like, you're never listening to that music ever. You're not listening to anything ever again, right? Because almost everything is rooted from African drumming, right, of some sort, and it has a spiritual background to it. Like, nothing was done just for the simple, because they wanted to make music, right? It was symbolic, right? So, I mean,
Part of survival too.
right? So, like, in regards to the clash between how we feel about, let's say, Christianity, right, and our religion, right? Like, would you say that most of our parents would call it música del diablo, right? If you were to really think about it, right? Because what our understanding is of Santeria, right? It's not it's black or white, right? And if we were to compare it to Christianity and that, it would not be on the side of Christianity, right? In regards to our upbringing. So, I mean, what am I trying to ask you, man?
I was tripping out.
But I'm just saying, like, in regards to música del mundo, right? Like, what our parents would call it, right, is worldly music, right? Which is popular music now. Do you think that maybe, I mean, we're subconsciously have no idea what this music is doing to us when we're bopping our heads to this, right? Like, yes, it does have a spiritual background to it then, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Now, our parents wouldn't really understand that. Right, and a lot of us, even at our age, even for myself, like, I don't know how to interpret that now. Like, what am I listening to? Am I listening to godly music? Am I listening to something that's presented for someone else or something else?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
one of my guilty, I guess back in the day, genres that I liked was the wawanko, right? Mm-hmm. I love like that.
What is that though? What is that exactly? I have no idea.
It's an Afro. You could probably explain it the best.
Yeah. Well, wawanko is like the predecessor to salsa, and it comes from the Congo. Like, it's influenced by a lot of Congolese music. So the music that came before the wawanko was the Congolese music played in Cuba. Yuca, macuta, palo. You remember those? Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that came before wawanko. Then wawanko developed in the urban setting in Havana and the city. So now it's incorporating more drums, and it's also the singing is influenced by Santeria. It's influenced by son.
By Santeria. How's the singing like it? Like it's similar.
A lot of reference, because a lot of the people who perform are santeros themselves. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of references to the different orishas, a lot of music that's in Yoruba by itself. Just the language is just Yoruba.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Crazy.
You know, but like, in regards to that, like you're saying, like, what did you say, like, before you said that you like doing that, guilty pleasure?
Oh yeah, because like you were saying, like, a lot of the times, like, in church will be like, yo, you gotta be careful with the type of music,
You listen to it.
right? This is like used in sacrifices or stuff like that, right? But for me, I mean, that beat is just like nasty, like, you know. It's
Definitely. No, I mean, I gotta thank my parents that they always supported whatever I wanted to learn. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean? But the reality is just, I think. I mean, religion has been used to basically not let us really know ourselves. You know what I mean? The whole knowledge of self thing. So in order for colonization to take place and a controlling of a people, anything else that isn't, or that questions that world of view is bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that questions how you should see the world, or what you should believe in, or how things work, how spirituality works, is the devil, right? So, and that's how a lot of us, including our parents, were colonized, you know, and they still are colonized. They still are.
Mentally enslaved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, I think it was Nick Cannon that was recently talking about that in his podcast or
Really?
his YouTube show that he does.
What do you say?
Just like it's just like a lot of mental slavery now, right? Like even with Kanye, what he was trying to say was that, but instead he said something else at TMZ, right? But that's what he was trying to say as well, right? And so, yeah, it's intense.
So I mean, we have to. That's our roots. You know what I mean? Musically speaking, that's our roots. If we're producing hip hop, if we're producing reggaeton, if we're producing salsa, if we're producing dancehall, we have to connect it to what the roots are, and a lot of the roots are in those spiritual systems that use music at the core of what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's our musical ancestry. If we're serious, you know, if we're serious about what we do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you say then, if you're saying that like the drumming like that, right? It's for spiritual reasons, right? When we go to church, there's a band, and what they're doing, they're setting the tone spiritually in the room, right? They're not just singing songs; they're doing something spiritually with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like it's all in the same thing at the same time, right? So, with that said, what am I trying to say? I always have it, and then it's just like I lose it at the moment, right? But okay, so like with the whole spiritual aspect of it, man, I was going somewhere with this, but let's move on. Maybe it'll come back.
You were talking about how music is also played like in churches and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, the music has always been there everywhere. You know what I mean? As part of the survival and congregating and celebrating, and like imagine celebrating
Just
without
what you just
music.
said.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just reminded me. So would you say that all music, or would you say that all music, and I'm not saying this from a religious point of view, would you say that all music is a form of worship?
Yeah, I say yeah, definitely. It depends on the person, right? Depends on what it is for you. And
But
how
you would say
make
that
it.
you're worshiping someone or something, whatever it is that you're singing about, right? Like, would you consider that a form of worshiping, whatever, even if it is intentional? Like, you're worshiping something
I
in the
consider
song.
that, yeah, for sure, like a ritual, even if you don't know.
Everything's a ritual.
So
even when
is
you're-
that what songs are? Worship and only worship?
Because, I mean, if you're hearing music that's rapping all about popping pills and lean, you're worshiping that lifestyle. You're promoting that lifestyle because it's going to, by listening to that, it'll influence you to want to do that. Right? It's doing something to you. So it's a form of worship because then you're acting out what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say that? Like,
Well,
maybe-
even just instrumental music, right? Like, if you're just not even paying attention to the lyrics, you're just dancing, and the music at that moment is helping you feel at a state of elevation that you wouldn't feel if you weren't doing that. Then yeah, I think that's a sign of it's raising your frequency. It's definitely, like you're going through a ritual type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's intense. Because honestly, when I'm like when we're DJing and
And when
everything,
you're playing it, that's
Yeah.
when it's to me.
Yeah,
That's
man.
my healing, bro.
Yeah.
It's when I perform and I play. That's my therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like that
too.
too. Like when I'm playing, when I'm performing, like it's like just banging on the conga is just it's
That's
like
you're
it's
meditating.
like a cleanse.
yeah, I feel that when I'm DJing.
Yeah,
You know, when I'm
exactly.
DJing, I just get lost and look at the clock and the hours just went by.
Yeah.
You know, I just get lost.
Maybe that's like a reason why a lot of people feel better with when listening to music. Like after a bad day, like there's always a song that can make you feel better.
It's medicine.
Yeah,
It's medicine. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome, man.
It's like a medicine for the soul type of thing,
Yeah.
right?
And for wounds too, you know, sana, que sana. You know, it works, bro. I swear it works. But when my daughters, when they fall, I'm like, okay, let me do the sana,
Yeah.
que sana. I do it, and they're all better afterwards.
Yeah, the same thing goes for me, man. Like for me, my always go to when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling like a specific type of down where it's like not even a conversation with somebody could help, I listen to gospel music.
Which-
Gospel music, there's always certain songs that always just like make me just break down.
It's true because music is used to like set the tone. It's a mood. Like music can be used to like transition you from one mood to the next, and that's what it should really be used to do. Like if you're in, my dad was explaining it to us like a couple of years ago. Like if you're in a sad space, listen to happier music. Don't listen to sad music because that will only make you feel sad. If it's a sad song that transitions into a happier song, then by all means do it. But just try to use music that's transitional for you in a positive way.
That's true. That's
Positive vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
positive vibe, good vibes.
Yeah.
With that said, like with your music, man, like where can we find your music again? Let our people know.
So everything's on the website. You could go to newtraditionmusic.com. Newtraditionmusic.com, and that'll basically give you all the information in terms of like how to access the music and how to do the social media, you know what I mean, contact info. Even if you're interested in workshops, you go to the workshop section and look at how the workshops are done, watch videos there. If you want to see the type of bands and projects, you could go there. Yeah, there's a press kit there. You could download pictures if you need to, whatever, put together an article. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all there. Newtraditionmusic.com.
That's sick.
Awesome, awesome. And,
Any gigs coming up for you?
Yeah, man. Let me see. The next one is at the Aga Khan at the museum. The Aga Khan Museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
be
like
doing a
the
spoken
Islam,
word.
right?
Yeah,
Islam
yeah.
based focused museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one's gonna be a spoken word.
Oh, nice.
Like oriented event, and I'm gonna be collaborating with Malaika Aweri from Red Slam Collective, and Zakisha Brown from Rise. So it's gonna be dope. That's you know.
And Rise is an open mic
Yeah,
organization,
Scarborough.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, man. Thank you. And Josh, you got anything coming up, man?
Yeah. I'm excited. So me and my brother are releasing our first instrumental EP. It'll be out according to TuneCore in the next 5 to 7 business days. So it should be up soon. So yeah, me and for those of you who don't know, my little brother Matt, we're a duo. We're called TOnX. Find us on Instagram, TOnX.entertainment. And yeah, just stay tuned. It's coming out.
Yeah, honestly, man,
Coming soon.
guys, like this EP is gonna be amazing. You guys have no idea, like the quality of music that I know these people can make, but just what they've delivered, it's something that you're gonna enjoy. 2019 is gonna be a very interesting year with local Toronto artists doing their thing, right? With that said, who you've been hearing, forgetting what they were gonna say, has been your boy Marito of Woke Up a Rebel, alongside Jungle Royalty over here, who's been the female voice of the group that's been talking to you right now. We are producer and DJ duo. For the most part, the DJ gigs that we have right now are mainly private parties. If anybody wants to book us for your
So
club
bougie.
nights, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, hit us up. You know, if you guys would like to have us at your show, you can look us up at wokeuparebel.com. You can listen to our DJ mixes. You can listen to some of our original beats that we've released recently. We're heading back to the studio next week, actually. Shout out for Sound Media and William Dinero. we're gonna head back over there. We're gonna finish some projects, finish some tracks, and are we gonna put together an EP?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We just gotta figure out if these specific songs that we're working on will
Make it to the EP.
make it to the EP, right?
Final
So
cut.
we're very excited about that. We've been, doing our thing in the behind the scenes. So
Sick.
everybody in the room right now is an amazing group of talent. But I mean, you guys are amazing performers. I've seen Ruben and I've seen Josh perform, and these guys are amazing people. They're amazing musicians. A couple of the best, if not the best that I know. Actually, no, you guys are the best ones that I do know at the moment. Like seriously, like you guys,
No, it's
you
true.
guys are the
Thanks,
best
bro.
musicians that I know right now. And we're just very excited that 2019 is starting on a good note, starting on a very positive note.
Yeah.
Josh has celebrated his dirty 30.
Yes, Dirty 30.
And his wedding.
And my
And
wedding.
he got married in December, right? In
Shout out,
beautiful
babe.
Mexico. Shout out Mexico. Blah, blah. That was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And you know what? Those are the type of experiences that we need for inspiration, right? Like we need something to inspire our music, right? And you can tell what Reuben brings to the game by listening to his music. You already know that this is a man that's very in touch with his roots, his music that will minister you in a very interesting way, right? It'll bring a new sound to you. Trust me,
That's
I
dope.
had no idea what that type of sound was until I heard that, right? So it was
Yeah.
really dope.
Respect. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
I had a lot of fun. Hopefully, this will be the first of many.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Yeah, and in closing.
That's it. All right.
All right.
That's a
Well,
wrap.
thank you for listening. This was episode 3 of Rebel Reason podcast. You can find this everywhere we decided to put it up. All right. Take care, people.
It's gotta be quick because you dropped the album in 5 days.
Yeah.
All that, right?
All right, people. Take care.